Do you have a Thai girlfriend? Do you want to have a Thai girlfriend? Are you living in Thailand? Are you thinking about moving to Thailand? Then you should watch this video. It's no secret that the cultures in Western countries are very different than the culture here in Thailand. This book mostly focuses on the cultural differences between the West and Thailand and shows how they lead to be the root causes for most of the challenges and problems found in Western and Thai relationships. Even if you aren't interested or don't want a relationship with a Thai person, this book is great for helping you understand the differences between our cultures and can make your life living here in Thailand a lot smoother. Okay, where to start? It's written in both English and Thai, with English being on every page on the left-hand side and Thai being on every page on the right-hand side. This way you and your partner can read the book together and then discuss each part as you go through the book. I think it's very important that not only you read this book, but you have your partner read this book and talk about it. I've recommended this book to many of my friends, and all of them that have read it thank me for the recommendation and go on to recommend it to everybody they know. Chapter 1, who is this book for? Well, like I said before, it's obviously for Western people interested in having a Western-Thai relationship, but it's also very much for Thai people, especially Thai women. Yeah, it is mostly written for a Western man and a Thai woman. That's probably just the most common type of this relationship and where the book needs to be addressed to. This book is for anybody who just happened to find love in Thailand, whether you were working here or on vacation here, or maybe you moved here. It's also for all those guys asking themselves, does she really love me or is she just taking advantage of me? This book is also clear that it's not for everybody. It's not for you if you're not willing to be open-minded and change some of your mindset. You know, some of the things that were ingrained into you by growing up into a Western country, so that you can meet your partner in the middle on some of these topics that often end relationships out here. Chapter 2, the basics. This chapter dives right into the cultural differences between Westerners and people that were raised in Thailand. On the Western side, these values basically boil down to our sense of independence, our desire for fairness, equality in a relationship, and our inherent right to privacy. I'd say the value of independence and privacy have the biggest impact on our relationships out here. I didn't realize it before, but yeah, this whole idea of independence that we're all brought up in is core into how we're raised, at least in America, but I think most Western countries. That whole thing about independence just is not a part of normal Thai culture or values. Thais have their own set of cultural values that they're raised with that are different than what we have. They're raised with a strong sense for generosity, or nam jai. Going along with nam jai is samnuk bun kun, which is kind of the repaying back of generosity and the debt that you're owed when people do something good for you. It makes the whole system work, and that's why people, I mean, they can take advantage of generosity and it happens, but it's so against the natural culture of the country that it isn't abused that often. Other big differences in Thai culture that have a big impact on a relationship with a Western man are the whole idea of highs and lows and titles within society. Not quite a caste system, but somewhat of a caste system. And a lot of it has to deal with the respect that you pay elders and different things like that. There's also the whole aspect of saving face, which is completely different than the US and causes conflict resolution to be handled completely differently out here. Having fights and debates and arguments in Thailand needs to be handled a little differently if you're going to try to meet your partner in the middle. Chapter 3, sex. Yeah, they got a whole chapter on sex in this book. Generally and traditionally in the West, we are just way more open about sex than they are here in Thailand. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy coming from a vlogger in Pattaya of all places, but we'll get into that. This chapter talks a bit also about prostitution. In the West, there's a lot of stigma on prostitution, at least with most people. It conjures images of seedy alley transactions and women on drugs, and men that use prostitutes are also looked down upon. I mean, that happens out here as well, but prostitution is underneath much more accepted here in Thailand. The book says that 90% to 95% of Thai men sleep with a prostitute early in their life. Most Thai women will just assume that their men are cheating on them. It's just kind of a normal expectation here, but it's about how they handle it. If the Thai man's going to do that, it's his job not to get caught. Again, it's all about saving face, and the Thai man can't do anything for his partner to lose face. Probably causes him to lose face too, and it causes the family to lose face. Losing face is such a huge part of the culture here. Another topic this chapter touches on is the control of money in a relationship. This goes on the whole independent thing as well. You know, in America, a man and woman are likely to keep separate checking accounts even after being married, and then maybe they'll have a joint account together. In Thailand, the matriarchal woman is usually in charge of all of the family's money. Yeah, that's right, guys. You're supposed to give up all your money to her mother. Or, I don't know, maybe it's your mother. Read the book. Chapter 4, the parents. Now, this chapter focuses on the cultural differences between meeting your partner's parents in both countries. It also gives a lot of tips on how you should handle the experience, both to you and your Thai partner. To boil it down to its basics, meeting a Thai woman's parents is a much bigger deal than meeting a Western dude's parents. They used a great example of the Western prom to illustrate this difference. In the US, at the end of high school, it's quite common for a Western guy to bring a woman to a formal dance known as the prom. They get all dressed up in formal wear. They meet each other's parents if they haven't met them already, but it isn't any type of sign for a long-term commitment. It's even common for a guy just to take his friend to the prom, sometimes even your cousin. When you meet her parents in Thailand, it's definitely a sign of serious commitment. You are being presented as somebody that's going to provide for her and most likely the family. You are expected to show namjai, to show generosity. This is just normal in Thai culture. So many aspects in this book start coming together more when you start reading more chapters into it and you see how they all interplay with each other. While it's not openly said, when you meet her parents, it's kind of an open statement that the two of you are having sex. This is obviously a huge deal and it poses a big risk to her. If something happens in the relationship, she's going to lose face. She's brought somebody that she's engaging in premarital sex with to the family, and then she did something wrong and he left. I don't fully understand the whole saving face thing, but you could see the impact that that would have on her as well as her family. It's a disgrace to all of them. So meeting her parents is an absolutely big deal. This is a reason that many Thai women will try to delay you meeting her parents, and something that the guys just don't understand. To Guy, we've been together 2 months, 3 months. I've met all of my past girlfriend's parents at that point, and that's the difference right there. You've brought multiple women home to your parents and didn't lose face any time, but anytime she brings somebody home and it doesn't work out, boom, not good. This chapter also gives some great tips about meeting each other's parents, some excellent tips for her, such as his parents aren't going to expect you to help them in the kitchen or around the house. So the book explains that she should ask his parents if they want help, and if they say no, she should listen to that. Another big tip for both partners in the relationship is about privacy. Basically, she's going to be left alone a lot more than she would expect to be, and that's because Thai families are just a lot tighter and they're used to spending all their time together. On the contrary, he's not going to have as much alone time as he's used to. Now, it'll be okay if he asks for it, but like all of these things, it just comes down to communication. Chapter 5, Money and Support. Now, a lot of this chapter boils down to the perception of she's a gold digger and he's stingy with his money. Now, it's most likely the case that neither one of those is true. Of course, one of them could be true, maybe both of them are true, but reading this chapter will help you understand that it's probably a misconception. So much of this misconception comes down from the idea that giving is a way to display true love in Thailand. This is likely to create a struggle or a conflict in many relationships. She's going to expect you to show generosity. In most cases, you're going to be quite wealthy compared to her. While on the other hand, we're raised with the idea that if she's asking for things over and over again, she doesn't truly love you. She's only in it for the money. The book goes into a lot of detail of the Thai marriage dowry. Now, I forget the Thai term for it, so I'll put it down here. This is very much tradition here in Thailand. Because namjai is such an important aspect here in the culture, this dowry is often a very sizable size and can often put the Thai partner back in debt for many years. I kind of look at it like the engagement ring, but instead of that wealth being put in a ring kept by the bride, the wealth is handed over to the parents. But then you think about the Thai culture, and her mom's the one that's going to be controlling the money for the family, so it makes perfect sense. Sure, it may not make reasonable, logical sense for you to be handing over the money like that, but that's how the culture works here. The book explains there's often an intermediary involved in the whole handling and negotiating of how much the dowry should be. It explains the different factors that are going to be used to determine this. It also talks about how it's not too uncommon now for the dowry to be kind of faked. I know people here in Thailand that have done that, and that's where you put a big show of gold that looks like that's what you're giving to the family, but then the parents secretly give it back to you after the ceremony. This way, the family all saves face. You get to show namjai. It's just a win-win situation, and it's becoming more and more common. Chapter 6 is kind of guides on just how to make your relationship work. Now you understand these cultural differences, how can you both approach them and meet in the middle? Of course, it talks about clear communication. I think that's very key in any relationship, and I state that up front with any of my partners. What I thought was very funny was the book tells her not to lie to you. As a kid, I was taught there's white lies and there's big lies and yada, yada, yada. But in the Thai culture, white lies are often used to save face. Yeah, that could be a good lie, but the book makes it clear to her, no, don't do that. You two need to be upfront with each other. When I started dating Koi, I told her right off the bat, there's 3 things you got to do to make this work. 1, you can't lie to me. Ever. If you lie to me and I find out, then you lose my trust. 2, you have to talk to me. You have to tell me how you feel. What's funny is I said that to her before I read this book, and after reading the book, I understood how important that was. Because of the whole idea of saving face, a Thai partner is more likely to tell you everything's okay when it's not okay. I told Goy clear out, she can never say the wrong thing to me as long as it's the truth. If she's upset with anything at all, rightfully or unrightfully, I need to know about it so we could talk about it and move on. One thing I found interesting about this book was a lot of it was eye-opening for me, but I already had the right mindset when I got in my relationship with Goy. Another big surprise was how much Goy had a grasp on how to deal with me as a boyfriend. She never had a Western boyfriend before, and she grew up in rural Thailand, but she also moved to Bangkok when she was 18, where she worked for Western and Japanese corporations like Mattel and Toyota. The last chapter mostly deals with taking your partner back home, especially taking her back home to live for long terms. It sets some clear expectations from her. I mean, she's likely grown up with Western movies and has a certain idea of what it's like, but reality often doesn't equal what movies and television do. It also gives some very solid tips on what you could do to ease her transition into a Western country. Obviously, either one of you moving to the other's country is going to bring a bunch of culture shock. I can fully attest to that. So do what you want with this information. Buy this book or don't. You still might want to give the book to your girlfriend though for her to read. This is not a sponsored video. I bought my copy of the book and I still recommend it to everybody I meet out here. If you found this video useful, please give it a like, drop me a comment down below. I reply to all the comments I get. Please subscribe to the channel. It just helps the algorithm get this video out in front of more people. As always, I want to thank you all for watching. This is Pete on Retreat, and I wish you were here.